That's all right.
All right to start.
It's R18. We should say R100. It's really rude.
R for really good, mate.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode, Raw Knowledge. You guys know by now what we're about, who it is, who's hosting, but I'm here with another guest, Matt West. That rhymed, actually. I didn't even plan that. Right off.
You didn't even know it.
Right, I tell you, mate, right off the top drawer. I guess to start off, as we always do, tell people, obviously, fellow coach, but why you do what you do, bit of a synopsis, give people a rundown.
Yeah, sure, man. Well, first of all, my name's Matt West. Before we do, mate, I think we should let the elephant out in the room, keep the listeners engaged, and start things off with a laugh. Because one of the biggest things I like to do is make people happy, make people laugh, all right?
Yeah, and if you've not seen Matt's Instagram, maybe just have a quick look first, come back, because yeah, then they'll get a better idea.
Good. Well, I think what we should do is ask a few of these questions throughout the podcast, if you're okay with that.
I like it.
All right?
Yeah.
So I might just fire one off the hip. Bang, middle of the podcast, you ask me a question, I'm going to shoot you something back completely random.
Right. It
First
could be anything, guys.
Could be anything. First one's first. Would you rather know every time someone talks shit about you over text or every time someone talked about you out loud?
Yeah, that's actually, that's a good one. I would say out loud because I think you would get more of a truthful, descriptive idea of what they were talking shit to you about, where text things can either be really misconstrued, there's no emotion behind it, you know what I mean? So I'd like to hear the voice, I think.
Well, I suppose thinking of this from a different angle, I don't really give a shit what people think of me, so if we just put it as over text, I wouldn't know and I wouldn't care anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's no real benefit of listening. Like when someone talks shit, it's not really going to...
Well, the thing is people do anyway, don't they? So
exactly.
It's like lions don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep.
Hey,
the sheeple, eh?
100. The sheeple.
That's what my friend calls them, the sheeple.
The sheeple.
He rings me up and he's like, yeah, so the sheeple have been going.
So I think I would choose the first option. I would rather people talk shit about me over text because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so back to the first question. So basically, my name's Matt West. Hello, everybody. I have been a fitness coach for the last 8 years, and I specialize in two things. One, I like to help people live happy, healthier lifestyles, okay, sustainable lifestyles. And I also specialize in a niche off that. I help men build muscle without the fat. Mm-hmm. All right, so I think maybe if you're okay with it, we should start it back at the start as to how I come to that.
Mate, absolutely. I love a good backstory, mate. It's all about where it started.
So I'm 30, almost turning 31 years old now. And way back in the day, actually, I left school when I was 16. So I just finished year 10 and I started off and took a mechanics apprenticeship. And I only did that for about 4 or 5 months. And then I made a complete sea change when I was brought up in Victoria and I moved down to Tasmania and I became a sheep shearer. Yeah, mate.
There's a lot of jokes coming to mind right now, brother.
Just let that sink in for a second.
I used to live in New Zealand for 10 years, mate. Fun fact.
Did ya?
Yeah, apparently Kiwis outnumbered 4-1 by sheep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You used to hang on to a few woolly jumpers, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's where my work ethic started. And I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to be a sheep shearer. So I shore sheep for 6 years and I based myself in Tasmania.
It's very physical, isn't it?
Extremely physical.
Because people laugh, but I'm like, I've seen that and it's
man, I always say it, I don't think there's a harder job out there. If you're pushing yourself to the limit when you're shearing, I just do not think you can find anything harder. Maybe that's a bit naive of me.
I had a mate who was a horse dentist, apparently, same thing.
Yeah.
I know, I thought he was joking when he told me, but no, it's a thing, horse dentist. And he's like, it's hard.
I have known horse dentists in the past as well. Yeah, and that is a very cool, especially
I think
if
it's
you're
more
doing
like
the old
a
school
specialty
way.
as well. Yeah. Where
because they used to
sheep's
do
them all the numbers, isn't it? You're constantly going.
Well, it's piecework. So the harder you work, the more you get paid. Opposed to if you're a horse dentist, you'll go around, you might do 2 at one farm. So the difference in between those two,
that's true.
You do two horses at one farm and then you might travel 30 minutes down the road. But when you're shearing, you've got 4 2-hour runs and those 8 hours, like when people say I've got an 8-hour work day, those 2 hours that you're working each run, which is goes for 2 hours, it is just absolutely balls to the wall. I remember when I was shearing in South Australia, I'd go through 4 singlets a day.
Jesus.
Yeah. 8 to 10 litres.
Are they getting fed in? You just grab them and...
Yeah, so basically the farmer puts them in, they've got to be off the paddock for 24 hours, so they've got no food in their belly so they don't kick and tear about.
Yeah.
And they just keep on bringing them in, mate.
You've copped the hoof in the face, I imagine.
Oh,
and
other places, mate.
Yeah.
Up in the nuts.
Damn. Yeah. Because I mean, they're big animals. Like they're not big, but they're not.
Well,
they're pretty strong.
And they are getting bigger. Like a lot of the time, sheep can be like upwards of 80 kilos now.
Jesus.
So I worked it out one day. So there's shearing them where you take all the wool off them, and there's crutching them where you just take a little bit of wool off around the arse and around the head as well.
Okay.
And that's in between shearing to keep them so they don't get fly strike around the backs and stuff.
Makes sense.
If you do 400, so you crutch a lot more because you're not taking as much off. But if you do 400 a day at 80 kilos, it's like, oh, now someone's going to work it out. But I think it works out to almost 32 tonne you're pulling across the board each day.
Jesus.
Yeah, I remember times where I would, crutch over 400 sheep in a day, and if I had to travel 45 minutes home, I'd be stopping on the highway and having to stretch my back halfway home because my back, you could almost hear it aching, mate. That's how bad it was. Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah,
so,
that's character building.
Man, I just can't even put words behind it. It's like one of those things, unless you go and experience it, you don't.
It's almost like you need to appreciate it, you need to do a day.
100%.
At least.
Yeah, just do one day. So everyone out there listening, go pick up the shears for one day. Or even just experience it. Go out to the country.
I think they do it in New Zealand. You can do the experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, I think the experience has had the day in, day out, Like if you just go and do it for a day, you're like, oh, that wasn't too bad. At least at the end of the day it's over.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing and the big thing for me was the mindset that I got from it, where it's day in, day out. Week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out.
That must be a fuck ton of sheep, because how fast do they oscillate around before, like say you shear a sheep?
12 months it takes you got to shear them once a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, that's a fuck ton of sheep then. If you're doing them every day, and it's not just you and those other fellas doing them, how many fucking sheep are out there? Christ.
Oh, there's a lot of sheep, man.
There must be.
I used to shear around 25,000 sheep a year.
Jesus Christ. Because I'm just thinking, like, that's you, and it's every day for 4 hours, 2 hours break, 2 hours, right?
Every day for 8 hours a day.
Oh, 8 hours a day, sorry. So 2 4 hours.
2 4 hours. No.
Stints.
4 2-hour runs. Did I start saying
4 2 hours? No, you did, sorry. Yeah. So, no, fair enough, it's broken. That's a lot of sheep.
Yeah. So that's where the work ethic for me began, like how I started for fitness. So I would generally get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and very much like shearing is one of those jobs where very regimented with time, like to the second, all right? Because it's piecework and it's got to be fair for all the workers, so you can't be shearing more than someone else.
How do you keep a track of fairly how many sheep you've shorn?
Well, they get counted, so either by the farmer or depending on how big your shearing team is. So it's not just shearers that come in, they have rouseabouts and they're the guys who pick the wool up. Then you've got wool classes and you've got wool pressers, and then you've got penner-upper people that actually pen the sheep up for you. So sometimes a contractor will bring a whole team in if it's a big property. Right. But if it's a small property, just the farmer will count them out, and then you can look at each run. You can go and look at how many sheep you've done and you check it off, because every time you go in, as you guys the listeners may know, when you're going into a festival or something, they've got those little tally counters. Yeah, that's what you use. So every time you walk into the pen, you just click the tally counter. So you know exactly how many.
Do you have to go get it every time?
Yeah, you got to go grab the sheep every time. Yeah.
So, but they're in a pen.
They're in a pen. They're in a catching pen. Yeah.
Is that
and you
hard
just
to grab a sheep?
Oh no, you learn to do it pretty easily.
Yeah, you do.
And the one thing about shearing, which led over to my fitness, was technique. It's all about technique, and that was instilled.
And you obviously don't hurt them.
No, well, you don't want to hurt them. One, because kind person, but
exactly. I'm an animal lover, so I'm like, I've seen some people get rough with them. I'm like, oh, be careful, man.
And the other thing is, you don't want to make them unhappy, because then they're going to kick and slow you down. It's piecework, so you want to treat them as kindly as possible and get the job done.
Because you're helping them out at the end of the day.
Exactly.
They probably need to be.
Sheep need to be shorn.
They'll be fucking, they'll be like, cheers, mate. That was hot.
that was bloody hot out there.
Woo! Got my jacket off.
Yeah, we used to have a joke when you'd go in, if you were ever shearing ewes, which are the female sheep, you'd be like, come on, boys, let's go undress these girls.
They look weird when they're shorn, eh? They just look so different.
Yeah.
Actually. Have you get those, just a question, I know we talk a lot about sheep, so if anyone likes sheep, you'll be fucking loving this, the first 20 minutes of the podcast. You didn't see that coming, did you? Hey?
Didn't see that.
See, I told you it'd be different. Well, no, the black sheep.
What about black sheep?
You get a lot of those, because they're beautiful looking.
Yeah, so black sheep are like wool contamination. If you're shearing just all white sheep and you get a black sheep in, that's has to be treated with a lot of precaution.
Oh, why?
Because that can contaminate the wool. So if you've got black wool going into white wool, even like a thumb print of it is like treated as a big deal. So the shearer will yell out black wool, and then one of the rouseabouts, so the people who come and grab the wool, they'll come over and they'll have to put it in a separate bag and just make sure that there's no fibres of any black fibre in with the white fibre.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because
for this production quality.
For the production line, yeah, if they get like a sale, that can contaminate like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of wool.
Do you get, I mean, I don't know, in your experience, it was the many black sheep that you get? Is it a defect or is it actually a breed?
They are a breed, but sometimes they might just have a little black spot on them. So sometimes to the naked eye, you won't be able to see any black spots on the sheep, but then when you shear them and you take them off, they could have like the size of a 20% piece.
Oh, Jesus, right.
Yeah, but then you just rip it out.
Fair enough.
But I think that, you know, to summarise and not talk the whole podcast about sheep, but the biggest things that I got out of it was mindset and like the skill in terms of like what I carry over into my fitness now is in terms of like I had a shearer tell me one time, I was at a shearing school, and I had a shearer tell me, he's like, a little less of this, and he pointed his head, a little bit less of this, and he pointed his bicep, and he said a little bit more of this, and then he pointed his head. So it was a little bit less muscle, a little bit more thinking in terms of like, it's not necessarily the strongest that shears the most sheep, it's the smartest and who's got the best technique. And when I started when I started fitness, I was like, applied that same thing. I looked at the guys who had the best physiques, and you know, I slowed things down and made sure I learnt from the best, and then that's when the results came the fastest for me. Funny enough, like, you ever see guys in the gym where they're like, you know, there's a guy with an awesome physique or a girl with an awesome physique, and they're working out and they're really concentrating on getting full stretch in the movement, hard contraction, not too heavy a weight, their mind's in the muscle. And then you'll see some amateur beside them that's, you know, only been training for 6 months, and they're just like trying to swing the 25 kilo dumbbells up. I'm like, I've never understood that. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, that guy there or that girl there looks like amazing, and look what they're doing. So I suppose that's one thing that I learned. Probably the biggest thing is like, success leaves clues, you know. Yeah,
I love that quote. And I really resonate with the technique as well, because that's something that I pride myself on. And I think a lot of great coaches, like you said, they focus on that. It's the quality, not the quantity. And with quality comes quantity. I think of a few people when you were mentioning that, like you said, you see them over the years. You know, I go back now, you can think about when I first trained. Oh, was that a rugby player? And he had a great physique and he didn't use it, but the technique was good. And a basic example I use for people, because I tell clients this, I said, look, if it was just enough to lift weights, why now, if we walk in the gym at any one time, 80% of the physiques, we strip everyone off, don't really look like they train. And I said, let's not even talk about nutrition and lifestyle, let's just focus on that. I said, but they're doing the lat pull down, they're doing the squat, like most of the time, they're doing the movements, right? They're doing the machines.
Yeah, of course.
And people go, yeah, and I said, so what's the difference? It's the positioning of the joints, manipulating the muscle, it's all the little nuances, it's the grey areas. And that's kind of like and there's no magic, as I always say, but that's one of the little keys to, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So, couldn't agree more, man.
100%. And the other big thing, man, is I get so passionate when I talk about it, is the fucking work, man.
Yeah,
like,
we were just talking about this before we switched it on.
I don't do it. I suppose this quote is like, I don't do it to impress people. I do it to impress upon people. In terms of, but I do it for myself. Is like, I just love to work hard, and I think that's carried over from shearing. The harder I worked, the more I got paid, and it worked really well for me. The harder I worked, and the smarter. I will say that, and the smarter, as we just spoke about. It's about working hard and smart and executing correctly. But the harder and smarter that you work, the faster results come. And there's just something about it, man. I just fucking love to work hard to push myself mentally. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about me. I don't know if it's just something that instilled from when I was 16 when I was shearing. But I've got like this sick psychotic work ethic where I just love to go balls to the wall so I can barely breathe, and there's just something satisfactory about that. Like some people are like, oh, you don't need to work hard, and like, it's not for everyone, and there is other ways to get results apart from, you know, killing yourself on the floor. You don't have to do that, but for some people, such as myself, it's very motivating to train very hard. It
is. It's a mental skill to be able to hone, and there's something quite sobering and therapeutic about it. I always say to clients, like, you know, when they get to more advanced levels, I'm like, look, the elephant in the room now is we kind of got to take it to the house. And again, like you said, it's not about training or failure, but man, once you learn that technique, once you've, you know, built a foundation and you've passed that beginner intermediate phase, especially as a natural athlete, there's only one way that's going to work now, and you kind of got to go there, and you're going to see the difference and why most people don't ever get to evolve their physique to that latter level. And I always say, like, got to be a bit sadistic. because I do, like you, I do like it. I kind of, thrive off it. And people have different levels, and there's people who train far beyond me, and everyone's got their different one. But there's something that it's like, other people aren't going there. There's something kind of satisfying that. I'm willing to do what you're not. That's why I can achieve something you're not. And it's not about being better, but there's it's a little win.
Yeah, and that's for yourself more so than it is for someone else. It's just like,
how far can I push it?
I was just like, man, when I know we're training after this, but
it'd be good. Aaron's a bit nervous. He said, bro, I'm a bit nervous.
I always go into this thing like, and today's going to be fun, trust me. But
it'll be good. It'll be
good. Whenever I train with someone else, I'm like, you're fucking dying. I'm not losing. Like, it's either you're dying or I'm not losing. There's no.
Oh, this will be fun then. Because I'll do something and Aaron and go, you did fucking 20, didn't you? I'm like, yep. And he's like, and then he'll get on and try and he'll either match it or and I'm like, oh fuck. And it's just a bad influence, man. And we just get too carried away.
It just gets a bit
carried away. Minute 3 hours later.
Well, this is the last podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll be just fucking going out of here in a wheelchair because we're training legs. And shit. It's going to be fun. You're not wrong. We've been looking forward to this one.
But one other thing with that is the hard work. Not only with the training side, but I implement that in every single other area of my life. Right? Relationships, my business life, absolutely everything takes that hard work ethic. And it's like people say to me when I'm like helping new coaches up and coming and stuff, like I'm happy to give people advice. I'm happy to help people because you know what? I think to myself, I'm like, if you can fucking outwork me and do a better job, you deserve it more than me anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Because come to the Coliseum. I know how fucking hard it is in here. Put on your armoured suit because if you come in here and you can outwork me and you can do it better, hats off to you. I'll come and ask you for advice if you do it better than me.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%, man.
Business always makes room for good people.
100%.
But a lot of people, like I was telling you before we switched it on, I was like, man, you got to put your money where your mouth is. And for years I wasn't. And it's like, man, you got to, if you're that good, get on the gym floor. Everyone wants to kind of jump to the online straight away, and it's a great medium, and we want to build that. But so many people are trying to run before they can walk. It's like, man, you will be a better online coach if you've been a one-on-one coach. And I still prefer the one-on-one. And despite the fact that one day I'll probably do very minimal of it, I want to try and keep an element of it because I love being in front of people.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I'll ever give away that. I don't think I'll ever give away the face-to-face. I love that.
It's the best. It's the human thing. You don't sit at a laptop all day, man. That goes so far. But you're right. Like how you do one thing is how you do everything. It carries over in every
100%.
aspect of your life.
Yeah, I totally agree. What else? So, when I finished shearing, I did that for 6 years, and they're the biggest things that I took out of that. And then I was like, I don't want to be in this forever because it's not something that I want. I saw so many shearers that were like 50, 60 years old, and they were just like beaten up, living off like the arse of their pants kind of thing. Yeah. And I was like, not that would ever be me. I saved, I made a lot of money, and did really well out of it. I gathered the tools that I needed from it. It did what it needed for me in my life, and I'm forever grateful for it. But I was like, it's time to move on. 6 years is enough in this game. If I keep going, I was only 21 at the time when I got out, and I was like, this is a good time to get out. I got in, learnt, got out. And then I became a stock and station agent. So I was only like an apprentice stock and station agent. It was like called a junior TSM, territory sales manager.
Right.
And there I actually did some auctioneering. So did like 3 or 4 auctioneer schools.
How many?
Yeah. Had a bid 5, had a bid 6, yep.
You still got it.
Still got it. Yeah. So,
can you do that when we're counting reps later?
Yeah. I sometimes do, bro. I'm training my clients. I go 5, 6, 7, 8, had a bid 8, 9. Had a bid 10 got, and a bid 10 bid out.
That's good.
Oh shit.
Oh, he's got it. That's great. I love that.
I love that.
A good auctioneer is entertaining though. Because that's kind of part of it, right? Because you want to get people involved, engaged,
100%.
like, oh yeah, go on.
And that's where I learned new things as well with my business. Public speaking, being up in front of crowds, like that was very, and it's kind of like singing. Like you're getting up there and you're speaking like what feels like when you're doing it, you're feeling like an idiot.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're impressing it in front of a crowd, and
I bet
you're
that
like,
first time was hard.
The old bloody heart was racing.
Oh,
mate.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Get up on there and you're like, oh shit, because then you got to know the value of the you got to know the value of the stock as well. So you've got to be able to accurately start the bidding, and then you've got to try and pick up the bids. You've always got like a spotter, like that's spotting out for the bids for you. But in housing is different to like cattle and sheep.
Right.
So with stock, it's very secretive. Like sometimes they'll only like raise their eyebrows.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It's that,
Or
like
they'll
when they
just
do
like-
the horse racing thing.
Or they'll just like have their finger like this, and then they'll just go like that.
Fuck, mate, don't make it harder, mate.
This is hard enough as it is, boys.
Jesus.
Just give us a wave, would you?
Just you don't have to stand and shout, but just maybe raise your hand a little bit rather than a...
Yeah,
This bloke's bet 3 times. No, he's just got a twitch.
no itchy eyebrows, mate. You got a scratch that you want to itch. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking.
You kind of know the buyers though, so that's the other thing. You get to know the buyers and what kind of stock they buy, and you'll know that they'll be bidding. It's all kind of like a secret code.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's that was a really good time to get outside the comfort zone. Extreme getting outside the comfort zone, you know, and just doing that sort of stuff, and then moving into like selling and getting up in front of the crowds. Huge step in the confidence building of my life.
Yeah, would have been.
But like you said, try to kind of keep people engaged and stuff like that. Like as me, like having a sense of humour, you like to like throw jokes in there and stuff like that.
Oh, you got to, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose once you got competent at it as well, then you could focus more on kind of the
you got
fun of it.
100%. You got to get your patter down. So like so each auctioneer will have like a bit of a patter in terms of like how they do it.
Yeah.
So some people like have like a repetitive ways about them, right? And other people got different ways.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Some people might be like 7 bid, and then other people's might go at a bid 5, at a bid 6, at a bid 7. Like
it's like a different rhythm.
Yeah, different rhythm. But then, some of the funnier auctioneers would like throw the jokes in. That was cool. It'd be like fresher than your neighbour's grass and all this sort of stuff. Yeah,
it's like bingo and auctioneer combining, isn't it? Like,
100%,
because the bingo people, some of those like older people, like fucking good, man.
Yeah.
They got something for every number.
100%. And just like how they start, it's like, righto, your money, your market, your day, your dollar, and like just kind of like little tiny like rhythms that you throw in there.
Yeah. They're wordsmiths in many ways. And like you said, it kind of forces you to be a lot more, I guess, precise with what you say, and like you've got to be quick too. You got to be
100%. Yeah. You got to be switched on. Like,
I can imagine.
That's the thing. Like,
can't fuck that up.
Yeah, and the agriculture industry as well. It's like unforgiving in terms of people are old school, man. Like young people, I'm starting to sound like an old boomer, but like. Old fucking boomer. It's like these young people these days, I bloody tell you, but like young people these days think they got it tough, like in an air-conditioned gym when they're trying to be a PT or whatever. Like try throwing yourself out in a cattle yard at 3 a.m. in the morning when it's like -2 degrees, getting yelled at by some old stock agent that's like calling you very nasty words and like whistling at you like a dog. Like no one should have to go through that, but which leads me into the next thing. But yeah, like doing that sort of stuff makes you really appreciate, and like that's why PT's always been so easy for me.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm not shearing sheep. I'm not bloody out at 3 a.m. in the morning in a stockyard that my day's not going to finish until 5 p.m. the next day.
Yeah.
You know, this is going to be a walk in the park. I get to have a coffee at 10 o'clock. You.
Yeah. No, mate, that's a really valid point though that you make there. I think when you've come from when your expectation or calibration for hard work is very much been, fuck, this is nothing compared to that.
Yeah.
PT is easy. And I had that same sort of baptism of fire with the jobs I'd worked in the past. And I just was very focused, came in and did the hours. And I'm like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
It really is. Because yes, there is a lot of challenges. I'm not making that it's easy. But compared to a lot of jobs out there, mate, you get to run your own fucking day, like you said.
Fuck yeah,
so
man.
if you want to have a break, well, it's up to you to plan the break.
Yeah,
or put it
exactly.
in there. And like you said, it's brilliant. So yeah,
I haven't worked a Friday afternoon in 8 years, man. It's pretty good. And that's why we're here now. Like,
exactly, right?
So good.
Be sharing sheep.
Exactly. Could be sharing sheep, mate. Could be out of the stockyard, bloody chasing shit like that, you know. I saw actually one of the guys I follow, Mike Pearson. I like following him. He put up a little thing the other day. It was like, it was like an African. It was just like a quote that kind of like resonates with that at the time. So it was like one Western guy was like, I don't have shoes, and then this African person was like, I don't have feet. And it's like all perception, and it comes down to like the perception of hard work. It's like, and you know, we can't expect everyone to go out there and shear sheep and be screamed at in a cattle yard.
For sure.
But, you know, if you can expand your mind and put yourself in some difficult situations, or just be grateful and understand how good you actually do have it. Like, you know, I know a lot of people out there are going through tough times and stuff, but just to stop and think like, how bad is my situation? You know, because you can always look pretty hard, and like you'll find something where there'll be a worse off person than what you are.
It's true. And it's focusing on what you can control. But again, it's like comparison to the thief of joy, right? Yeah. So people who are in lockdown now are looking at people not in lockdown, and it's like, yeah, it's not fair, but life isn't fair. So, but you can't change it to a degree. So focus on what you can control and do something in the meantime that is conducive to. Yeah. But I find people who, I don't want to use the word success because that's getting a bit vague now. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of what it means, because it's subjective to different people. But people who would, let's just say, people who evolve and maybe get the most out of life, let's put it across like that, generally seek or get good at some point with discomfort. And this is like a pattern I've noticed, and I talk about this on the podcast, like with the guests I've had, and over 90 odd conversations, and not only these podcasts, but people that inspire me. There's success leaves clues. Yeah. And there's patterns. And one of the main patterns is that, they are willing to do these things that make them uncomfortable, or they've gone through times which, maybe I wouldn't want to go through it again, and maybe I wouldn't wish it on someone, but it's like, that was actually a really good learning, for you. And then that changes the mindset. And once you sort of grasp that, you seek more of it out. Like you said, it's this work ethic. 100%. And it's like, but now I actually learn to like it, because like the obstacle is the way. That's the thing that's going to get me where I want to go. And ultimately you feel satisfied. Like when you get to the end of a day, whether it's you've shorn fucking whatever it is, many hundreds of sheep that you've done, or you've helped out X many people with their most, in my opinion, valuable asset in their life. Mm-hmm. And over time, people turn around and say, fuck man, like you changed my life. And that's, I don't know about you, but mate, like that is worth every second for me.
There's no better feeling in the world.
I feel fulfilled. My days, I feel fulfilled. Like 100%. When I get home, I'm like, man, I can, I spend time with people today. I help them out. We train, we overcome goals. I had some great conversations with the people at work. I work with my friends. I work with Aaron. I work with Brie. I work with these amazing people. I get to chat to people like you. Yeah. Podcast, and then I did a bit of YouTube, and there was a lot of time. There was emails, there was this, there was that, but it's like, fuck man, what a day, it's like, that is amazing. And it might be like from 6 a.m. till even 7, 8 p.m, but it's like, that's not work for me. Exactly. And it's not always going to be like that. One day I would like a family, and I'm sure that it'll be the balance. There'll be a bit more like cool time with them. But man, why I'm young and single and I've got the time and I can help people. Fucking, I love it. What else am I going to do? Because this is what I love to do, and I still get to do the things I enjoy on the weekends or something. Why not?
I think that's something that I'm grateful for every day, and I think it's because of the past. And you like look back and you're like, I'm just so fucking grateful that I can help people on a daily basis, give people results, change people's lives, and do something that I love at the same time.
Because it wasn't always like that, was it?
Fuck, but I think that's what brings you to it,
Yeah.
I used to dream when I was shearing. I used to look out the window sometimes at lunchtime when I knew I had 6 hours left of shearing, and I knew they were tough sheep and hot and dusty and everything. And I used to look and I used to think to myself, there's actually people out there that like can go have a coffee at 10 a.m. in the morning.
It's the simple things though.
Yeah, bro, it's little things like that.
You dwell on the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Like, just going for a walk later, maybe at 4, or something like that. Like, and it's like, people are like, what do you mean? It's a walk or it's a coffee? But it's like, I remember, so on the coffee, I could never afford to drink a coffee every day, right? Like, I could. It was a waste of money.
Sure.
Like it is a luxury. Yeah, it's $3, $4 one. I'm people $3 or $4, but a lot of people shouldn't be spending that to a degree, right? Yeah. But I like to support local business as well, and Crafted's one of the great coffee companies. Shout out, local brewed, local crafted.
Delicious.
But it was like shit. Like, and I really enjoy. Like, I never used to like coffee, and I enjoyed it. And so in the early days when I was personal training, I just, it was like one a week and maybe two, one on the weekend, and at home. And it's like, all right, that's simple. It's not that bad. You're drinking coffee, but the difference between a barista made coffee and the one with the fucking granular one with the fucking from the kettle.
International roast,
the old international roast, mate. The old Makona when I was really fucking bored.
Fuck, mate, Makona's that's high.
I was high end, mate. That's when I was living. That was $2, mate, Coles. Last year, like 6 months, you had to like scrape it off the bottom because it'd been in there that long. But like, it was that, and I enjoyed it. But then I got to a point where we can have a coffee every day because it's not an issue. I don't have to check my bank balance, and it's like those things where I'm like, but I still don't take that for granted. And it's the gratitude, and I'm like, I really enjoy my morning coffee, but people don't get why I enjoy it. It's like, it's not because I enjoy the taste and the flavor and what's going into it. I'm like, it's what it represents.
100%.
I'm like, me rocking in at whatever time I want to rock in, because it's like turning someone down because I don't train at 5 a.m. in the morning, but hey, I can still offer an alternative perhaps to someone else. But coming in on your terms and having that enjoyment and getting to work with the people you choose, like, that's fucking gold, bro. So I get that, and I think that's kind of like part of that reward, or that, like, would it be, and I often ask this, would it be as rewarding if you'd not done that though? Because if you hadn't, you wouldn't appreciate it as much. If you'd not done the shearing and the sheep, maybe you wouldn't be where you are now because you wouldn't have tried.
It's like a broke person winning $1 million, man. They say the broke person winning $1 million will be broke. You know what I mean? Because if you haven't gone through those mistakes, if you haven't, lived the life and earned, and learned the money management skills, like, you're not going to be able to attain that wealth.
This is very true.
Yeah.
This is very true.
Next part was basically, and one thing I think this would be very interesting for the viewers, because I think a lot of people go through it. Throw you a curveball here. Workplace bullying. I went through quite a lot of that in my stock and station agent time.
Right.
And that was one thing at the time where it was hell. Like, it was bad. And workplace bullying is not fun. If any of the listeners have been through that, it's not a good time.
Yeah, it's fucking not.
It's very uncomfortable to go to work every single day and be looking over your shoulder and have the worry of, someone screaming down your throat or going off at you for no reason when you're trying to do your best, But as I can see now, like, that was one of the things when I look back at it, I'm like, I'm so grateful for that guy, even though, I could probably say some pretty nasty things about him, but he's made me into the man I am today. So with, like, the bullying, for example, like, he would unnecessarily, like, call me out or whatever, and I'm trying to do my best, obviously. Did 3 or 4 auctioneering schools, and he'd always put me down. He'd always, if I was ever on the phone to him, he'd, like, mumble these words for me to ask him again, and then he'd scream it down my throat, things like that. And it wasn't until I decided, nah, you know what, I'm fucking jacked to this. I made the decision. I was quite an independent, strong person as a shearer, but I didn't want to go back to shearing. I was like, I don't want to go back to shearing, so I want to try and make this work. So I put up with it. And then it got to a time where I was like, nah, enough is enough. Because if anyone does know the shearing industry, like, you don't put up with shit. Like, you got to hold your own. Like, if you're
literally
hold your own.
Yeah, I like that. You threw that.
But you do.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. You do have to hold your own, because if you
show weakness,
people get shit on. And that's exactly what happened to me as a stock agent, because I was like, fuck, I really don't want to go back shearing. Like, that's a backwards step that I don't want to take. So I put up with and so I was like, you know what, I can't do it anymore. The old Matt's got to come back a little bit. And the old Matt at the time, all I knew was kind of aggression from shearing. It was like, if someone pisses you off or someone, treats you unfairly, you treat them the same back.
Yeah.
So it got to the stage where I was like, you know what, didn't know what to do. And that's where I turned to fitness. That is where I started turning, and that's where I met Zach Poulos when I started training at Anytime Fitness in Wagga Wagga. I was living in New South Wales at the time, so I'd moved from Tasmania shearing and I'd moved up to Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. Started as stock and station agent, did a little bit of shearing there, went stock and station agent. And then that's when I started my fitness. And then I was surrounded by all these happy, healthy people, and I was like, man, these guys actually want to see me do well. They're, hanging around people like Zach, inspiring people that I was like, man, I want to look like him. I always wanted to improve my physique. And then I saw Zach was, like, training people inside the gym, and I was like, this guy's, like, rolling in at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, having a laugh with his clients. I was like, what the fuck am I doing this for, getting yelled at when I could be doing something like that?
Yeah, literally.
Like, why would I be doing that? And then that's when the penny dropped for me. And I just made the decision, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck this, man. I'm out. So I just made a decision to start studying, and pretty much straight away signed up for my Cert 3 and 4. And my shearing had taught me that work ethic where I was just like, all right, let's pump this bad boy out. Let's get to work, motherfucker.
Get it done. Sooner I get it done, sooner I'm out of that motherfucking place. Did you jack it in, or were you still at the auctioneers while you were studying?
I was still doing the auctioneering, so I was still doing the stock and station agent, and while I was studying. So I was doing big hours, like 70 hours a week. And the thing was, with the workplace bullying as well, they would keep me back, man. And they knew that I was into fitness, and a lot of listeners are going to resonate with this, where people in your workplace, especially like tradies and stuff like that, are like, oh, mate, you won't need to go to the gym today. You've already bloody, carted 4x2s all day, all that type of shit. I'd be like, no matter what, like, I'm still going to train. Like, even if I've had a 13-hour day, I'm going to train. Just to prove you motherfuckers wrong.
Because it's not the physical, that's therapy.
Exactly,
It's therapy. That's therapy for me.
Exactly, that's right. Like, people are like, oh, you won't need to go to the gym today, but that's not why we go to the gym.
No,
that's only a small part of why we go to the gym. And, like, I would get them purposefully making my days longer, so they would try and make me not go to the gym. And that just drove me harder. I was like, you know what, I'm going to stay at the gym extra tonight. I'll do an extra half hour. I'll do an extra hour just because you motherfuckers don't want me to go at all. I'll go for 2 hours.
Exactly.
that was one of the things that built me. It did have a little bit of a negative impact on my life because it affected relationships at the time.
Yeah.
In terms of like my partner at the time, obviously that was sacrificed, so something was sacrificed there. But I knew it was only going to be temporary. So that's where I studied my ass off. I did my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness, and then basically told him where to go. I just pulled this guy aside one day. He threw a gate into my legs. I was at the sale yards, and he threw a gate into my legs, and he said, my fucking dog could do a better job than you, mate.
Oof. Because the thing is, where I come from, you talk to someone like that, you get fucking your head kicked.
100%.
I'm just going to be straight up with you.
Yeah,
like, you just don't do, like,
Yeah,
you're going to
yeah,
get hit. Like,
100%.
I'm surprised you held back as long as you did.
Well, wait for the next part of the story.
Oi.
Here we go.
What?
So I saw red then. I was like,
Oh,
I knew I was already out. And I was just like, oh, this guy was old too, man. Like, he was like in mid-60s, short.
They think they can get away with it.
I know, because he treated me like shit, and I was putting up with it because I didn't want to leave because I didn't want to
You
go back
think
shearing.
someone like that would know better with the size of you as well? Fucking hell,
Well, it wasn't as big
It's
as what I was
I
like
get
now.
it, you can tell, but like you're twice the size of me, this fella. Look at him. So it's out-angled.
Yeah, the camera's closer on my
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, man, when he said that, he said, my fucking dog could do a better job than you. And he threw the gate into my legs. Fuck. And then I was just like, you know what? Saw red. I was like, nah, that's it. I got to show some aggression here.
Yep.
So I just went up to him and I said, what'd you fucking say? And he said, my dog could do a better job than you. And I said, Brian, there's one or two options here. I was like, we're stepping outside and I'm going to flog the fuck out of you. I was like, you can be a man. We can reset this. And I put my hand out to shake his hand. I said, we can start over right now. But I said, I'm not fucking putting up with any of your shit anymore.
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything. And he went to walk away. I said, don't fucking walk away. I was like, two options, mate. Which one are you taking? I held my hand out and he shook my hand. I was like, I just looked at him in the eyes like, I fucking mean it.
Yeah. Fucking,
And then-
that's the point where you
Bro, I'm getting goosebumps saying it's like, it brings back
He
memories.
needed a dig. Yeah, you
And
got
I
it.
just stood up for myself and I was like, man, I'm not putting up with shit anymore. Because I got nothing to lose.
Exactly.
I knew where I was going. And basically, he did not say anything and he shook my hand. And then that was it. And I was only there for another 2 months after that. But ever since I stood up for him, I stood up for myself to him, there was no issues anymore.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, but I made a promise to myself. I said to myself, no matter what the situation, no matter what the sacrifice in my life, for the rest of my life, I will never be treated like that because I do not deserve it.
No, no one does.
No one deserves it.
And it's really hard. It's, this is a different point to bring up because we've not really discussed this before with many people on the podcast, so it's good because it's actually very prevalent in a lot of workplaces, and it happened to me as well when I was younger, a lot at school. I mean, I'm being the smaller guy, and I looked a bit different. If you're going to pick on, you're going to pick on him, and then same thing in the workplace, and just having good people around me to support me. But yeah, you have to stand up to yourself. What shocks me is how many people get away with it, and to the degree, like really, if it was out in the open, it wouldn't be a thing. Like people would go, no, that like we all know as humans, that's wrong. But it happens all the time. I had a client as well, even a police officer this week was effing and blinding her, and I was like, are you for real? Like, are you for like? I get it. Like
people get stuck, man. People get stuck in these situations where they don't feel like they can get out.
Yeah, and it's hard, and I think that's it. And they get suppressed, the more they take it. But the thing is, the more you take it, the more they give it. And that's the thing, you actually have to turn around, and unfortunately, sometimes, I'm not advocating physical violence,
no, definitely.
And you want to try and get out of it like that, but sometimes it kind of comes to that head point where like you almost have to, like old school, because you think, I used to think, oh, there's no rules, I can't answer someone back, I can't, but it's like, no, yes, you can.
Yeah.
If someone gives it to you, you can give it back to them just as good.
Yeah.
But you don't have to, you can still be, I call it professionally cutthroat, is a
100%.
term that I've
stand up for yourself, hold your emotion. Integrity,
and it's hard to take the emotion out of it when you're young as well. But I think for the people, maybe young viewers who are listening, or people anyways, ask for help. 100% ask people because you don't have to suffer that. And there are people who can give you good advice because, like you said, I mean, after I had a few instances similar as well, and it was always, and I was afraid to stand up for myself. But funnily enough, I never had an issue. Every time that it would come up in any workplace, I'd nip it in the bud, and people would go, "Oh, this person's an XXX. They're so bad. They make me cry." I'm like, "Yeah," I said, "but you need to stand up for them." They're like, "They're so nice to you." I'm like, "They weren't. I just nipped it in the bud straight away. I really pulled them aside and I told them, and I was like, this is the expectation. I don't care if you're an area manager and I'm a casual. I'm telling you, this is how to run it. In terms of, I will respect you mutually, but you cannot speak to me like that.
Yeah.
Or why did you do, like, to inquire, and half the time those people shit themselves. and they pull their head in, and then they're really nice to you because they're actually they're afraid of you, and you're like, I'm not trying to intimidate anyone, but I was just being straight with you, but now it's almost like you're being extra nice to me,
100%.
you know, which is kind of the whole irony, and that's maybe what happened with this fella. He just fucking went the other. It was almost like a test or something, but then the other way, he went, fuck, actually, I'm not fucking with this bloke anymore.
Yeah, like, he's actually going to punch my head in.
Yeah, literally, and. You know, imagine if you had that conversation with them the first time you did it. I wonder what it would have been.
All the pain that I would have not had to endure.
But hindsight's a great thing, right?
Hindsight is a great thing. Mate, if only we had bought Bitcoin back in 2007.
Yeah. Ballin'.
I know some people who did. Anyway, yeah. So I think the big takeaway out of that, if anyone is listening and going through that, you don't have to put up with it. It doesn't have to resort to violence, so by no means that. But it is about doing what's uncomfortable. Always ask myself the question, like, what's the most uncomfortable thing but the best thing to do? And quite often it is to pull someone aside in a professional manner. Like, there's no need to go to violence, but a lot of the time if you are in that situation and, you know, if someone is giving you flack, especially in front of other people, call them out in front of other people and be like, hey, Alex, can we go into the next room over here? I just want to have a chat.
Yeah.
And just pulling them away out of that environment.
I was going to say, that's a key thing, because that is professional, because a lot of people do it and make people look, excuse my language, a cunt in front of people. And there are some people who won't, like, they'll be like, no, you know, they'll be really childish. She's only so far you can go. Then you'll be like, okay, well, we're going to have it out here. But,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, that is a key thing, though. It's like, there was minimize, isolate, eliminate. And it's so true. It's like, take it away. Like, I learned that at Marriott. It used to be like, you know, on the door and you get people who are shouting and screaming. That's not good for the fucking clientele. No. So you go, oh, hey, sir, and, you know. So as you're walking, you get them away. And then, you know, you sort of do
Very rarely is, man, the best fight to be in is the one that you're not in.
Fucking like, too many heroes in the grave, man.
Exactly, man. You're definitely best off. Like, aggression or anything is probably the least to do it. I was this young and it did work at the time for me, but I would highly recommend people pulling someone aside out of that environment and having that serious conversation and taking the higher ground themselves.
Yeah, and be sincere about it. Like
and, you know, the first time you do it, you're going to get a lump in your throat, you're not going to know what to say, and you're just going to fuck up and learn from your mistake, but it'll be better next time.
100%.
And as long as you can compose yourself, think about it and get that point across, because obviously, you know, you are marinating on it, so, you know, think about it before the situation happens, and the next time it happens, you know kind of what you're going to do and how you're going to attack the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, like you said, it's very nerve-wracking, and I've got ears, sweaty palms, and the first time you do it and you stutter, or you get the emotion gets the better of you. But, you know, they say, like, life can be measured. You know, that's one of the nice little maxims that are out there, but by the amount of difficult conversation you have, and it's true, man.
100%.
And most people are not willing to have these conversations, but they are really key in life.
Especially these days with, like, text messages, emails, social media. Like, people don't know how to talk to people face to face anymore.
No, and the thing is, the messages get so misconstrued because, like, you know, I read a message, you read a message, and it's like it only goes so far, and this person has taken it the wrong way, and you're like, how have you taken that the wrong way?
Yeah, that's not what I said.
But that's like the difference between, we need to understand, like, communication's so critical. Don't get me started on it, but. It's, that's why sometimes there's conversations that you have face to face, and there's conversations that you can't have over text, because you'll say, hey, look, I've got the message, let's catch up, or I'll chat to you about it when I see it, because otherwise you're just putting gasoline.
Because the easiest thing to do is send the message, but
or react.
The easiest is never the best way. Always take the hard road when it comes to those sort of situations, because they are the best.
Do what's right, not what's easy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, long and short of that, man, basically, I hated that guy for a lot of years. I actually bought some Cuban cigars from America. I was like, when he dies, I'm going to smoke one.
Oh,
that's dark and deep, I know.
Yeah.
So, like, what kind of psycho is sitting across the chair from
me?
me?
Is he still around then?
He is still around.
Do you know it? Are you on? Like, do you speak to him?
No, shit, no. Because he's like, he'd be a fossil now. He's like old, literally. But I know a guy who still, like, works in the same company. I was like, bro, can you just flick me a message when he passes?
Is he still being a bit of a bellend?
I'm not sure, bro. I'm completely disconnected from that industry.
I was gonna say, because I mean, you could even pay him a visit and be like, not like people who are listening. No, that sounded no, but I mean, like, you know, you could. What's his name?
Brian.
You could even go, look, you call him one day and say, hey, Brian, do you remember me? And he might be like, yes. And I'm just like, look, I want to have a conversation with you. Like, I just want, you know, all those years, like, to this day, you know, I just need to let you know, I hope you've changed your ways, because, like, you really impacted me when I was young, and this is how you made me feel about, and, like, that conversation would cripple him more than punching him in the face ever would, because that would make him really feel, if he's not a psychopath, if he's got any empathy in his body, that would really make him think about how he treats other people around him, and that might be the conversation that he really changes who he is.
I've honestly thought about like even because he lives in New South Wales, Wagga Wagga, but it's like I've even thought about giving him a phone call and thanking him, man, because
you could do that as well.
This is where the thing comes, man. Like that pain at the time, it's kind of like, we won't go into the old Chinese proverb. Have you heard that story about the farmer where he's like, maybe so, maybe not? Have you heard that one?
I don't think I've heard this one.
Oh, do you want me to tell it?
Yeah, go on.
Oh, quick story. So,
because I like these.
Let me see if I get this right. But it's like the farmer has one horse, right? And he's got a neighbour, and the neighbour comes over and he says, oh, you've only got one horse, that's no good. And he says, maybe so, maybe not. That horse runs away.
Yes, yep.
Heard this one?
Yep.
Horse runs away and it brings back a heap of brumbies with it. Then he comes over the next day and he says, oh, you're so lucky. You've got all these horses. And he says, maybe so, maybe not. And he goes away and the neighbour comes back the next day and his son's gone out to try and break him in. And he breaks his leg. And the neighbour comes over and he says, oh, you're so unlucky. Your son has just broken his leg. And he says, maybe so, maybe not. And then the very next day, the Chinese militia call war. And they come in to pick up all the kids in the area from like 16 onwards. But they can't pick up the farmer's son who's broken his legs. And then the farmer comes over, the neighbour's farmer comes over and he's like, oh, you're so lucky, your son's breaking his legs, doesn't have to go to war, they've just taken my son. And he says, maybe so, maybe not. I'm not sure where we got that, but it's all about perspective. And
no,
like,
it is.
How, like, that's such a good, like...
It is, though, it is.
Such a good one,
because you don't know the bigger picture versus the smaller picture, and you don't know the changing evolution of the picture.
100%. So that's where it goes back to with Brian. I'm like, at the time, it was the fucking hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. I thought it was hell. I wanted to like do really bad things to this guy. And in the end, I'm like, fuck, it was that struggle. The things, even though it was unfortunate, it's like no one should have to go through that, but I took the good from it in the long run, and I was like very grateful. And I treat everyone, I want to be the guy that walks into the room now where everyone's like, oh, Matt's here, he's going to be nice, but he's not to be walked over and fucked with. That's the hard thing. You've got to try and find that balance.
No, well, because I'll unbook at that point. We'll stop there. I want to interject. So something I learned from Kezia Noble, who's like a top female dating coach expert. She's been on the podcast as well and she really disseminates this well. She's like, there's 3 types of guys, right? If we archetype them, and people always talk about like the nice guy and the bad guy. And people think there's only 2. And girls are like, I want a bad guy, but they really want a nice guy. But the nice guy's too nice. She's like, no, there's a 3rd one. It's called the good guy. And the good guy is not going to get himself in jail like the bad guy or do actually bad things. He's actually respectful, right? But unlike the nice guy, he'll stand up for what's right, and when it's time to speak up and move and shake, he will. And that's the difference. She goes, where most people think there's 2, it's like you don't have to be an asshole, but at the same time, you can't be a pushover. You've just got to know, like, you treat people with respect. You are pleasant, you are humble, you are present with people, but you will not be fucked with at the same time. And people need to, and that's when you go, let's step out. Let's have a little conversation.
That's it, bro.
And people are like, that's scary, man, because people are like, it's like a squirrel when it looks like you. No, I'm serious, because like the squirrel will be like, I don't know if you've ever seen a squirrel like collecting nuts. It sounds weird in England, but like you see a man, they collect nuts, and you get a bit close to them, and they just go, and they look at you, and you're like, and then you stop, and then all of a sudden they just give you that look, and they just stop, and you're like, this thing was moving around, now it's just like, come close, and it's like you just get that don't play, just watch yourself. And you're like, it's a squirrel. But you don't want to, because it gives you the look. It's like, and that's the thing, it's like you have that conversation with someone really calmly, really, you look in their eyes, you give them, and people are like, this motherfucker gonna kill me. But you've not said anything, but it's like you're very stern, but you're very sincere. But it's professional. It's professional, 100%. And you're not trying to, and I don't believe in trying to, not that I'm a big guy or anything, but when you have a good physique, that carries with it a presence. That presence carries with it. And I think a lot of guys like your height, especially the guys who are on the gear and the tattoos, they use that as like, they like to intimidate people. But for me, that's a lack of confidence, love, and there's a need that's not been met there, because no one walks around that cartoonish with that expression on their face if your needs are met, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think you have to address something in there. I love artwork and all of that, but there is a point where people are characters, and you're like, you're hiding something there. But yeah, I think that is key, man. Definitely.
I think, and you know, when you are that nice guy who can't be walked over, people that are unaware of being able to read personality. You know, people can't personality profile, they can't identify people's personality, can be taken out of context a bit because it's like, oh, Alex is always the guy that's mucking around having a laugh, or me, like I'm always the guy at the gym clown, so to speak, or like always having a laugh, but then you'll get some people that will try to take it over you, but you quickly whip them into line and be like, hey mate, let's go and have a chat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. And they're like, oh, where'd that come from?
Like, oh, this guy's not to be fucked with. And I've met 2 or 3 people in my lifetime that have been extremely good at it. One of my really good mates who's an AMBO over in Canada. He's like the guy who can have the jokes, be with the boys and stuff like that. And he's like critical care paramedic. And he is like the most switched on guy. And he's just like not to be fucked with. Yeah. He's like, and he's not big or anything. He's like short guy, skinny guy, but he's like holds himself so well, man.
Isn't it funny, like when you meet those people in your life that always stick with you where, and again, they don't necessarily have the physical characteristic or traits that you'd think to be someone who's quite influential or carries with them, again, like an energy. But because of their internal strength, and they're so, I used to call it like, I'm thinking of conversations and critical people I've met, and I'm like, man, this person, if anything, is physically not what you would describe as strong and powerful, but they've been so, and this is the key phrase, anchored in their own reality and their beliefs, not to the point where they're tunnel vision, but they're like, no, this is what I stand for and I'm right, in a way that is humble. They will listen, but they're like, this is the world I live in. And that is powerful, man. And that's powerful in attraction as well.
100%.
Because you're not, you know, I use the analogy of the squirrel, but I use another one, is the oak tree and the squirrel, whereas like women are squirrels, men are oak trees, in terms of we are anchors, we stand there, we'll take the hit, we'll take the brunt, the squirrel runs around and fucking comes back to the tree. When the man becomes a squirrel is when it goes wrong. Or when men are like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's like, no, you have to kind of be anchored. Like, you know, they fuck around and, you know, next minute they tell you they fucking hate you and then they tell you they love you, but we're like, you know, you tell a man, I fucking hate you, he probably means it. Yeah. You know, like that's like, all right, we're done. But when a woman says it, and not always, but usually, but usually, and that's not disrespecting women, but they turn around and they go, I love you, we sort of go, ooh, whatever. But like if a man says that, it's a whole like, whoa, that's a different fucking ball game, because again, logical, emotional. So, but anyway,
100%.
Going off on tangents, but this is good. This is kind of what we're talking about. Well, mate, you made some really good points, because we don't often talk about, like, I guess these are maybe what we could call like grey areas. And this is like the truth behind what makes people, and that's why I'm interested in having these conversations and getting them out there to people, because people can relate. And they can actually go, oh, fuck, this person's real. And they have been, like, because there's people out there listening thinking, they look at people who are doing quote unquote well, or they're doing something that they want to do, and they don't realize like, fuck, this person's been through the same as me, or I'm going through that. It's like, yeah man, we're all human.
100%.
Like, we all eat, sleep and shit, as my dad always says, and bleed, and like, we all have the struggles.
100%. Yeah, definitely. 100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. From there, I suppose, once I learnt those lessons, that was just like where the fitness journey began for me. And I think I trained for like probably 4 years, maybe 3 years before I became PT, and then became PT in early 2014. And then, moved up to Townsville and then started a Genesis Health Club there. And I was very, very fortunate after that. I did some like bar work and stuff in between while I was finishing off my certs and competing. Like I was doing bar work and competing at the same time. That was hard. Short patience with drunk people when you're deep in prep.
Yeah, I take my hat off to you, bro. That's hard.
And starting a business.
Stand there and give me a burger. God damn it. Why Matt eat the burger and cup? You're trying to get him out the club, but you're more focused on the fucking burger he's got in his hand and the kebab.
Like a bar bistro, man. And like sometimes you're walking past where they order and they're like, oh, just have a burger and chips. You'd be like, yeah, I fucking bet you do.
Yeah. And you're literally there like, you get the guys like, you want a chip, mate? No. Why? Oh, no, I'm just, I'm competing. It's just one chip. Oh, if I had $1 for every time. Great, it's not the point. Yeah. Because you can't just have one.
You can't just have one, mate.
It's like crack. When you're on fucking... Exactly. People like, I say you're like a vampire.
Give me a line of chip, mate.
Yeah, literally. Or you'll savor that shit when you... All your emotions are just heightened. You can smell a chip. that's dropped on the floor like halfway across the bar. You're like,
I used to, mate. This is.
you even consider eating it.
Yeah, we could go off in a tangent of talking about unhealthy eating habits and like shit like that. Let's not go there.
No, that's another episode.
That's another episode. Let's not go there. But I know competing like did that for me because I was so extreme, man. Like I'm pretty. If I do something, I'm not gonna eat a gram out, you know.
Yeah.
And that was when I was competing. That's why when people come to me as a PT and they're like, "Oh, I want to compete," I'm like, "Hang on, are you sure you want to compete? Because this is for people who are the elite. You know, this is for people who are dedicated and already have healthy habits in place, etc., etc." Anyway,
there's work to be done before we get to that point.
Yeah, 100%. But I was in the situation where I was getting offered wedges and chips and stuff, and all the staff and be like, "Oh yeah, there's chips there. Go and eat those if you want." At the end, and like when we're working and stuff, because you know anyone who works hospitality knows they're long hours. Like
and
sometimes
food,
12, 13 hour
and
days.
the food is always there.
On your
Cakes
feet, and like fuck, man, like that pub had like the best palmies and chips and stuff. So if someone wouldn't eat their meal, they ordered it and pissed off. Like it'd be like, "Yeah, guys behind the bar, have whatever you want." I'll be there eating kangaroo, peanut butter, broccoli, and beetroot. I remember that was my meal that I was eating
That
at
is
the
a
time.
fucking hell of a combo.
Bro, actually the peanut butter tasted so good at the time.
Oh, mate. I don't know. Well, we always do I think, because again, it came from the hold your own kind of thing. It was like, you get to a point where you're like, I'll just put all that together because it'll just be better. And it was like steak, I shit you not. Steak, potato, banana, and peanut butter. And I know people are like, that's fucked up, but I'm
so
telling
good.
you now.
Things
And
taste
even
different in
salt
prep,
on
man.
it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And honey. Like, I'm shit you not.
Right.
And it tasted good. I actually did it the other day. It still tastes all right.
Yeah,
I had to
not
go.
as good as what it did.
Not as good. I was a bit disappointed, but like, it kind of works, man.
Yeah.
The whole,
Yeah. Anyway, point I was getting at was I would get offered all that food and then I would go home and I wouldn't finish until like 2 a.m. in the morning. I would go home and smell biscuits in the cupboard. Bro. I'd literally like just as a bit of a hit, man. I'd just like go in and put the biscuit tub and be like, oh fuck, they smell good.
Neck minute.
Let's go to bed. I'd never give in though, man.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
that brings the point. It's like when people say, oh, you know, like they're cheating on your diet. Like if you're out there and you've got like, you know, calories and macros to stick to or whatever, and you're eating off that, you know, you're only lying against yourself.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not being strong in front of people, it's being behind closed doors.
100%.
I always say to people, I'm like, it's not now you need the skill when you're in front of me. It's like, it's the other 23 hours of the day when I'm not with you, and I said, and you're at
100%.
home, I said, and guess what? There's going to be ice cream, there's going to be at some point.
Yeah.
And no one's going to be there to stop you.
It's like when a
But
client,
yourself.
when a client signs up with me and they're doing like 1 hour a week, just say.
Yeah.
It's like, there's 168 hours in a week. You're with me for one of them. That leaves 167 by yourself. We're going to have to work out a plan to do when you're up with me. You know what I mean? Like,
It's true, but when you put it like that, it kind of, people kind of see it very clearly for what it is. And like you said, comp prep's definitely not for everyone. I think I'm like you, as much as I love it, I talk a lot of people out of it because I know it's not for them. And then I said, look, even if you do want to do it, first of all, like you said, healthy habits and behaviors, because otherwise I'm just another person creating another eating disorder for someone, and I'll not be a part of that because I'm trying to prevent that.
Yeah.
You know, and most people think that they want to be shredded, but they don't. They want to be beach trained, bro. People don't know what shredded is.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
until they know. Like if you
peeled,
know, again, you know, and it's not fucking nice.
No.
I like it. I think it looks fucking cool, but it's not a nice place to live.
Yeah. No,
and it's, man, you don't look like. Your ass is like a walnut, man.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. People won't recognize it when people truly. I remember the first time I seen a truly shredded physique, and it was her. It was World Gym. Ashmore, when I first met Nathan Hampson and Zach, Nathan was training Zachy, but he wasn't up here yet. And they all walked in comp prepped, and I remember them doing posing, and I was like, I've never seen that in my life. I was just inspired, and then that's when I was like, oh yeah, I need to learn from these blokes.
Yeah.
It
It is a cool thing, but you know, it's for a specific type person.
Yeah, I always say it's like, here's what we're generally doing. This we'll put over here. This is like the. You know, we might do that, but that's a...
I did that, man. I lived for it for like 5 years. All I wanted to do was compete. I wanted to become Mr. Australia. I remember just thinking every day, training my ass off, doing stupid things, man. Training at midnight on New Year's Eve, all that type of shit, bro. Yeah.
As you do.
It's like, I'm doing what other people aren't doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, to the point where you're like, no, I'm just losing out.
Yeah. And what I learned from that, for me, in the end, was like, no, I want to help people live healthy, sustainable lifestyles. I want to be able to have a beer. I want to be able to go for dinner with my friends on the weekend, not worry about tracking it, but then still look good. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. I always say that's true success. You know, the true success is having the physique, but still at the same time, you know, and yes, I will acknowledge that you have to sacrifice the 20%. But the thing is, you could argue that a not completely shredded physique actually looks better than a completely shredded physique, in my opinion.
To the average person.
And,
like
and you're fuller. So you could argue, I believe there's a point just before you get like really dick skin lean, you look better.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you refeed like the cows, because you're like, ooh,
bro.
You know?
And to the average person, I mean, unless you got like a comp prep eye, you're like, fuck yeah, that looks healthy. It looks good. But
Exactly.
like, you know, as you know, bodybuilding admirers, you're like, I want someone to call me disgusting. That's what that's what as a compliment. When someone's like, you look disgusting, you're like
feathering in your ass.
Yeah. Someone's like, oh, ew, that's disgusting. When a chick says that on Instagram, you're like, thank you.
Exactly. And you get hit on by more guys than girls.
Yeah,
because
100%.
literally more guys admire physique than girls. I literally remember doing, I was doing topless waitering at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in, where was it now? It was fucking Melbourne's. And I had a gig on and I was pretty close. And literally I got that many business inquiries that night, and they were all guys, and the girls were like, too much. The girls did not like it. They were like, it's kind of cool, but it's a bit too much for me. And all the guys were like, what do you do? Teach me. And I'm just like, it's so backwards. Like, you don't want to do that. But going back to what we were saying is like, the success comes in having the balance. You know, it's we were talking about before we switched to camera again. It's like eating, a good amount of food, not suppressing yourself, having a high sex drive, having great relationships, being able to go out, have a drink if you want to have a drink, like, and still train. Like, finding that sweet spot.
And I think you've got to go through go through some fiery hoops to get there.
You do.
You've got to go through some
way.
discipline. You've got to go through some building some habits. You've got to do all these things to be able to appreciate it, as we're speaking about at the start of the podcast, to be able to appreciate it and live that as well.
Correct.
I was talking to one of my clients this morning. He's a very successful guy. He owns over 10 pharmacies, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling me he doesn't set an alarm in the morning. And I was like, how many years did you set an alarm for in the morning? And he's like, he just laughed at me. Look, he's like, oh, many years. Like, he's like in his 40s now. Yeah. But like, he's at a point now where he's gone through that. He's built the disciplines, he's built the habits, he's built the businesses and all that sort of stuff. And now he doesn't set an alarm in the morning. He wakes up when he naturally awakes. Same as the physique, living that healthy lifestyle. You've got to put those habits in place. You've got to put those disciplines. You've got to go through a bit of, hard endured work, and then you can appreciate it and live that balanced, healthy lifestyle. Yeah. Where you know what to eat, when to eat. And the best way to do that is, if you're starting out or you're unsure on your journey, is reach out to someone who's doing it. Correct. Success leaves clues.
Well, it does. That's what I say. Like, if you want to get good at something, pay, hire, or learn from someone who's already that good, and get the 20% of knowledge that does 80% of the job. I mean,
you're always going to learn from your own mistakes, but if they can sort of make you aware of them and be like, hey, this is this, and then even if you do make those mistakes, you're like, that's what Alex was talking about. That's what Matt was talking about, rather than just having to, go through years and years, and then you're like year and a half down track, you're like, oh, fuck, wish I'd have known that a year and a half ago.
Yeah, literally. But it's true, though. It's like, if you take it seriously enough, it's better to invest that time, money, resources, whatever it is, if you're really serious. Because, yes, you're going to make mistakes, but like you said, there's a lot that you don't need to make, especially in the early days with a lot of these things. But what you were saying before about, like, you have to go through that, you do. You have to go through a process. You have to go through certain highs and lows to get to that. And like you were saying with your client. Just a quick one, guys, before we carry on with the podcast. For any of you who are interested in taking your health and physique to the next level, and you want to remove the guesswork, you're not quite getting the progress that you want, you're not seeing what you want to see in the mirror, and you're not feeling like you're really moving in the right direction, then click the link in the bio below, the apply button, where you can contact me. We can organize a free consultation, no obligation, and discover whether it's a good fit as coach and client. All right, back to it. Your client, we talk about like the conversations we have. It's this, people want to look, it's like in the early days, you never look, the way you want to look, or that, you don't hold the body fat as well, maybe to a degree, or you're the opposite, where you're really lean, but you're not as big as you want to look. It takes a certain amount of time before you can set that up to the point where, relative to your body composition or your, height and weight, that you can maintain like a physique that looks a lot leaner than it is, but it's healthy because you've got an appreciable muscle mass. 100%. But that like you said, those habits and behaviors, it takes time.
Especially if you're natty, man, that's going to take years.
Yep.
Man, I've been training for over 10 years now.
Yeah, we've been busting our balls, yeah.
But, literally. That all comes down to falling in love and enjoying the process as well.
Correct.
Like I said before, we're not just training to, when the tradie goes, oh, you won't need to train tonight, mate. It's like, well, I'm not just training for my physique, man. It's like, and you got to have a bigger purpose than a physical appearance, because it's got to be, somewhere where you go to switch off mentally. It's got to be a part of your day where it's like therapy, where you can go and escape the world for that hour and a half.
That's the thing that keeps you going when you're in those shit jobs. That's what always kept me going.
Yeah.
No matter what, and through all the tough times without going into them, it was, oh, you know what? At least one consistent in my day is I'm gonna, eat good food and I'm gonna train.
Yeah.
And it kept me going, and it like through all the bad times, 'cause it was like my anchor.
Yeah.
And it's like the weight's great therapy because it doesn't talk back, and you can just get in there. And sometimes it's one of those sessions where you put your earplugs in and just go for it, or it's another session where maybe you need to speak to some people around you for some inspiration and some perspective.
100%.
But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and I think that is completely highlighted with everything that's going on in the world right now. When gyms are shut down, look at the mental health. Look at how much it suffers. It's not just physical health; it's more mental health, man. People come to the
100%.
gym half the time to have a fucking chat.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, more power to you, because better than being at the pub or doing something else. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, if you're getting here and you're having a go, at least you're having a go.
110%, man. That's a big thing. Like, we could talk about for a long time, mental health as well. Like, I'm a big advocate for mental health. In my last 8-week challenges, I've done my last 3 8-week challenges. I've done like $5 from every sign up goes to Beyond Blue Foundation.
It's awesome, man.
To be able to help and support mental health awareness, like, that is a huge thing, and especially right now. So I can't encourage anyone like more. Now is the most important time to reach out to your mates, or just reach out to people. Like, say good day to more people on the gym floor. If there's trainers out there listening, like, just, you don't know, like that one, hey mate, how you going? How's your training been? You don't know how much of an impact that's going to have, man, on someone's mental health.
Yeah, it could mean the world to them.
Yeah, like someone, and this sounds fucking dark, but I'm going to say it. It's like, you don't know if someone's been thinking about that they're going to hang themselves before they come to the gym. And why do I say that? Because I've spoken to a guy.
It does happen, though.
It happens, man.
I've had clients who've admitted it to me. They're like,
Same.
before I met you, I was going to kill myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I'm like, that's pretty heavy, man.
100%, bro.
Pretty
A guy
heavy.
told me once, he said, I was going to hang myself twice, and the thing that I did was I took the rope off and I went to the gym straight away. And that was the thing that saved me.
Yeah.
So you don't know when that person's in on the gym floor where they've come from.
No,
and your g'day, how you going, mate, and a smile is, maybe that one thing that just, makes that person's day.
Another good maxim, not to recite quotes, but everyone's facing an internal battle you know nothing about.
100%, man.
And it's true.
I quite often think about, like, when you stand back in the gym, because gym's one of those people where it has so many walks of life turn up to every single day. It's like, I wonder if you could just like stand on the outside and just like see people's thoughts and their situations.
Oh, it's
if you had like
wildly
150 people of like their top thoughts in their head or their top problem or whatever, just like walking around the gym floor, you're like, holy shit. It would give you some real perspective instead of just seeing a heap of human bodies around you. Like,
well, because you would, we say like don't judge a book by its cover, which is true. But I always say, but you will have an opinion, because when you look at someone, your mind just formulates a thought. It's the way, like you just
That's
go,
human nature, man.
yeah, and it might be down to, I like that T-shirt that person's got on. That's the club I support.
Or it could be,
oh, that girl's hot. It can be anything. But like you said, imagine if you had the think bubble above the head with their main thought, you would have then the rating, your thought process or your perception could be completely different.
Yeah.
Because that person might be like, oh, man, that person mistreated me today, but when you're like, oh fuck, man, and you could like, yeah, that would be a cool.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a superpower.
maybe that's it, man. Because like, and we all do it. There's no way around it.
No.
Like, if you see someone with face tats, what are you going to think? Fuck, this guy's a bad guy.
Yeah, or
like
you
automatically.
you just have an opinion.
Perception, yeah.
It's the way
Someone
your
with
mind
tats even, you're just like, oh, bad boy. Do you know what I
literally.
mean? But not necessarily the case. I think it's time for another funny question.
It is. I was going to say, because before we do the rapid fire, we're going to do something a bit different, aren't we?
We are.
We're gonna
Get some fun questions going
end
here,
by doing these.
How inappropriate can we go?
Oh, it's R18.
R18.
So we are. You can say and do whatever you want, guys. Just to preface this is fun. But at the end of the day, if you listen to this podcast, you already know, and if it offends you, this is not the place for you. Politely. So anyway, let's have some fun.
This it's not meant to offend anyone.
No, it's not. This is just a bit of fun, guys.
Just
to preface
fun.
that.
It's just a bit of fun. It's like
they are raw. They are
raw.
real. Just to preface, but again, this is just a bit of
all
humour
it is.
for your day. Bit of perspective for you. Technical difficulties.
Testicle difficulties.
But we're back, like we said, with these questions. But for you who are listening, it's been no time. So anyway, let's get into it.
Boom! How quick was that? So
Didn't even know.
questions. Now we were saying how
Next
inappropriate.
week.
What'd you get up to on the weekend, Mark?
No, it's not. It's literally like 5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes, yeah.
Right.
Big weekend. No,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah,
so
at least you bought the same
inappropriate
t-shirt.
questions. All right, so
It's the same. At least you bought the same t-shirt, etc. No,
yeah,
we're
same
good.
t-shirt. Still got the same sweat patches. We're talking about how inappropriate the questions want to be. Do not take these questions seriously. All right.
Yep.
This is actually a card game. If anyone's interested, this is a great card game if you are in a group setting. I like to listen to Seth Feroci, the hardworking motherfucker podcast, HWMF.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Answer the Internet, Questions as Fucked Up as You Are. So if you Google that, Answer the Internet, questions as fucked up as you are, you will find this game. And there is so many great conversational questions in there. So,
And they are. I would look at a few.
and they are. And they're quite inappropriate. But let's go. First one, without further ado. Would you rather fuck your mum in your girlfriend's body or your girlfriend in your mother's body? We can break this down. Doesn't have to be...
I was going to say, we strategize this.
Strategize this. So you're either fucking your mum in your girlfriend's body or your girlfriend in your mother's body. Either way, you're fucking your mum.
Either way, you lose is basically
But
this ask.
You can take a selfish...
The selfish route is the second option.
Which
isn't it?
is?
Because you're in your mum's body doing your girlfriend.
You're not...
Is that right? Have I got this wrong?
Yeah, so there's one way if you're the only one that wants to know about it, you've got to fuck your mum in your... No, you've got to fuck your girlfriend in your mum's body.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Because essentially your mum doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So next time you see your mum when you catch up for lunch or whatever, you're going to be like, hey mum, she's not going to know. She's going to be like, ooh.
Yeah.
But you're going to be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Because you're going to know, but she's not.
Yeah.
Mum, if you're listening, I don't know what to say. Anyway, which one are you taking? I think I would take...
I think the second option.
Yeah,
is the better one out of the two.
Because at least only
options.
you know. You just got to live with yourself.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the hard thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oof.
Second question.
That's set the bar, hasn't it?
That is set the bar. Not
Really?
all of that inappropriate, but that's funny. I would encourage you to ask that to some mates.
Hey, Bob, got a question for you. Just lost my job.
Get the fuck out.
And now you can go do what you really meant to do.
Anyway. Would you rather randomly stub your toe, get a brain freeze, or bite your cheek 3 times a day?
So, stub your toe.
Would you rather stub your toe,
Yeah.
get a brain freeze,
Yeah.
or bite your cheek 3 times a day?
I think easy. Stub your toe.
Fuck, bro. Have I got a story about stubbing a toe? And this involves watching Josh Hampson up on stage.
Oh, no.
Oh, bro. So, I wish I had my phone here to show the photos, bro.
You've got it, though.
I've got
You
it,
can show
yeah.
me.
I'll have to show you
this is
later.
good, this is good.
But I was watching Josh Hampson win his division up in Townsville ICN Tropics. I can't remember what year it was. But anyway, he was killing it, and I was just in thongs, and we were sitting up in the stage of like the convention center in Townsville. And it's basically like pitch black up there, and it was freezing, you know, like in all of those shows, so they got the air cons going and stuff, so you're not sweating your guts out on stage. And I was like running up the stairs, couldn't see where I was going, and I'd like, with my leading foot, I hit my fucking toe on the stair, right?
Ooh.
And it automatically broke the knuckle in my big toe. And I don't know if like when you feel that pain, like you start to feel like you're going to pass out. Like for me, like I lose my hearing. My hearing just like goes. I start to feel like nauseous as shit.
You must have really you did a good job.
And
mate.
like it sounds like a stub toe, bro, but it was a stub toe, but it
That's
broke.
like stub toe, like on max.
Yes,
That's
not
like stub toe, like full strength.
Fuck, that's full strength sub toe because all my weight, 100 kilos, banging into the side of a step, fucking nail goes black instantly, right? It's just like broken, can't move it. It's horrific, right? And then literally, bro, 6 months, and now, still to this day, that thing like clicks like a motherfucker. I can't even do lunges properly on it because...
Have you had it looked at?
Yeah, I went to the doctors and they say like they can't do anything about broken toes.
Well, don't they just like make sure it's straight or put a splint in it or something?
No, like I went to I think actually Zach, because the boys were staying, Zach and Josh were staying up at my place in Townsville.
Yeah.
And we went to the ER. I don't know if Zach came, but I don't know if the boys came, but I think they were staying home. But Went to ER and the guys are like, no, there's nothing we can do. We can't even there's not even point X-ray in it. Just like keep it as straight as possible. Didn't splint it, but I'm sure that I'm going to get arthritis in this toe. But man, there's nothing funnier than seeing someone stub their toe. It's just like fucking hilarious, don't you think? If you see someone stub their toe, like not like that, I would have laughed.
Yeah.
I wasn't laughing myself when I did it.
I sort of dance around a lot, don't I? There's a lot of blasphemy. There's a lot of blasphemy.
I love that. That's a very funny thing, seeing someone stub their toe. And they're hopping, the hop after
I imagine you're going to not go for that option and go for the brain freeze.
I fucking hate brain freezes too.
Brain freeze, like
and the bite the
that's
cheek.
like I'd say the brain, it's a toss. Nah, bite the cheek is fucking horrible. I hate that. I reckon it's a toss up between the stub toe and the brain freeze.
I'm going brain freeze.
The brain freeze, at least, it's agony, but it's over fairly quickly.
Yeah, especially if you put your tongue. The trick for a brain freeze, anyone listening, is put the tongue hard up against the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
You heard that one?
Yeah, and
yeah, and then it like slows down the brain freeze. But I'm gonna go brain freeze. Biting the cheek's no good because your cheek gets swollen and you fucking keep biting it. And if you're biting that 3 times a day, you're gonna be biting it more because it's gonna be swollen.
Oh mate, we've all done it. Oh, there's nothing worse. Or when you bite your lip when you're really hungry, and you're like,
oh yes.
Oh, no, it's going for me just thinking about it. No,
not good.
Next one.
All right. What's the next one? Okay, who's the best fat athlete of all time?
It'd have to be a sumo wrestler, wouldn't it?
Well, how fat are we talking about?
Well, I mean, apparently they have got the highest lean mass.
All right, no, let's forget about... No, let's get specific and let's say mostly what the viewers would know in terms of like the best fat athlete where most people they're recognised as a fat athlete.
It'd have to be fucking old mate on the squat. What's his name now? The big coloured fella.
Huh?
Big Ray Williams.
You reckon?
Yeah. Well, he's pretty overweight, isn't he?
Oh, mate, I thought Ray was in good shape.
Oh, you're going to go like, what, big, fucking big, you'd be going like Eddie Hall or something like that.
I was thinking maybe Eddie Hall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, have you seen,
But you gotta think
did you see, I showed my dad the picture of the mountain last night. Yeah. Oh, dude. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, he's like a quarter of the size.
He's only eating like 3,200 calories a day or some shit.
What? That's ridiculous. But I mean, the amount of gear those guys are putting themselves, Jesus.
Yeah, man.
But actually, it'd probably be like Eddie Hall. Because I'm thinking now more are coming to me. I'm thinking.
You can think about like boxers and everything though, because there's some pretty fucking good overweight boxers.
That's true. That is true, actually.
Top of my head.
That's what comes to mind for me initially.
If I'm to shoot a gun off the hip, I'm thinking Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
Even though he's obviously got himself in shape, unfortunately torn his bicep, but for the boxing, he's obviously dropped a lot of weight. But in his prime, like, pretty good overweight
huge
athlete. Okay. If you could have 4 teeth in your entire mouth, where would you place them?
Like extra?
No, just 4. You've got 4.
Right,
you're going to have 2 rabbit teeth at the front and 2 at the bottom. Or are you going to have molars?
No, you know which ones I'd choose? My fangs. Both of them. Top and bottom.
Would you?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, vampire.
Yeah, exactly. Literally.
What about when you've got to like...
Can you imagine?
Well,
at least it would... the buck tooth.
You wouldn't want a molar to be able to crunch down the hard stuff?
What's one or 2 molars going to do at that point?
Yeah, a couple of molars down top and bottom on your right side might be handy, mate.
Yeah, no. Maybe 2 top fangs and then 2 molars at the back. One to tear the meat and one to... But the thing is, they'd be clamping against you, so you'd almost need to top and bottom it because they'd be clamping against nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go fangs for the aesthetic because it's hypothetical, so I'm going to go fangs.
Well, you're going for the... You're thinking aesthetics too, I know you are.
Exactly.
You're hoping fangs come in trend.
I'm getting some.
All right, another one. Should you lock...
What about you? Hang on.
Oh, yeah, what about me? I'm going to go...
Hang on. This is a 2-way street, mate.
Whose podcast is this, mate?
Exactly.
Thanks for coming today, mate.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I would go... I'm going to try the molar because I want some fucking... I want to chew my steak, mate. I think you're going to struggle to chew steak with 2 fangs. So I'm going to go...
Just thinking about the vampire muppet.
I'm going to use a couple of molars to my advantage. I'm going to go... I'm going to go a molar on my top and the bottom on the right side.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go... just because I want to be funny. I'm going to go 1 top front on the... one tooth on the bottom at the front and one tooth at the top on the front.
So you're gonna look like Tommy out of the Rugrats.
Yeah. With a couple of extra molars. With a couple of hidden.
Look at these bad boys, hey? Just for the real stuff. This is for fun. This is, what is it? Party in the front, business at the back.
Yeah. Mate, you're at a restaurant and the waiter would be like, oh, I'm assuming you're not having a steak. Be like, no, judge a book by its cover, mate. Check out these bad boys.
Fresh as a daisy.
Check out these molars, mate. Here's a question. Should you lock the door? Should you lock a door? Fuck. All right, let's start again.
This is the one with the dog in it, isn't it?
Yeah, the dog in it. Should you lock a dog out of the room when you're having sex? Would you have sex in front of your dog?
See, that's... Oh, man, because some dogs get involved.
What? Some dogs get involved?
Yeah.
Fucking what sort of sex are you been having?
You know, you're like, ooh, that's not... That's... Oh, that's... Oh, hang on.
Rex.
How are you licking my asshole from back there? It depends.
Like, right, hang on a minute.
No, I think no. Because the way, in my experience with dogs, they usually just look, and then they get it and they walk away, or they just lie at the bottom of the bed.
All right, well, I'm going to ask the viewers what they're all thinking. Can you please share a story? Doesn't have to name names, but have you been in a situation?
No, I'm thinking of people I've spoken to who...
You've never had an experience with a dog?
No, but like I said, I could have said in my experience, I would say don't lock the door, because in my experience, the dog either just watches or lies down, and it doesn't put me off. I think it's funny. Or it lies down, you know what I mean?
Have you ever had sex?
My friends have said that the dog has...
Got in.
No, some of them licked the asshole, but then the other dogs have actually tried to fucking... The little dogs to get in there. Get off your bleeder. You
No
fuck
way.
my mum, I'm gonna fuck you.
This is how you do doggy style.
Or Jack Russell, and you're like, hey, get up. So yeah, that's why I went with... it could go either way. Depends on the dog's reaction.
Oh, man.
Depends on the breed, man. It's an interesting looking son you got there.
Oh, shit.
He's a hairy fucker, isn't he?
All right, we go one more.
Yeah, let's go one more. And then
All right, let's just find a...
we'll do some rapid fire.
Yeah. Here we go. This is actually a good one.
What about you with the dog thing, by the way?
Look, I'm not a big fan of dogs joining in, mate. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay if they're just going to sit and they're going to be well behaved, and that's fine by me.
Yeah,
if it's my own dog, where
I think they kind of know, man. Some dogs, that's why they just walk away, don't they?
It's like, oh, he's at it again.
They're like, I've never seen it done like that before. That's my favourite position. Hey,
boom. Shit. Oh, right. All right, so this one's actually good for recent times with all the mayhem that's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
Would you rather see everything that has occurred in history of the world or everything that is going to happen in the future? We'll read that out one more time. Would you rather see everything that has occurred in the history of the world or everything that is going to happen in the future?
Future, easy. Because the past, you can, for the most part, if you want, you can research it. There's obviously a lot of hidden stuff, but I'd be more interested in the future.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more useful to
that's
know that information.
That's a pretty easy one.
Yeah. But it's good though, because again, they're very provocative, these questions. Very thought-provoking.
Yeah, very thought, because you think to yourself, oh shit, what if we knew that, you know? So.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I guess as well, for people listening as well, if you really want to give us your opinion, just drop me a message and for the question and be like, for this question, this is why. Especially if you've got an interesting curveball to throw.
Yeah.
We want to know. Message me and Matt, or tag us in like a message, and we'll get your thoughts and opinions on it.
Especially the girlfriend, the mum one. I want to hear about it.
Whoa. Anyway, so rapid fire.
Yeah, let's get
questions
rapid fire.
I always ask, which are also fun. If you could choose a superpower, what would it be and why? You can make it up.
Oh, superpower. I'd like to be able to fly.
It's the top. That is the most popular answer.
Is it?
Yeah, everyone wants to fly. Well, it is. It's like the knee-jerk reaction, and especially now because you could go anywhere in the world without restriction.
Mate, I say that. I was thinking this the other day. I was on my walk,
Literally, get
getting
a
a few
jetpack.
steps in, and I was just watching a bird, man, and I was like, fuck, imagine being able to do that. And just to be able to float and glide and just go wherever the fuck you wanted.
Maybe so, maybe not.
Maybe so, maybe not.
And he's crashed.
Oh, you're so lucky you can fly. Maybe so, maybe not.
Exactly.
I do like the idea of that.
It is. It's a wonderful skill.
Yeah, I think fly. I mean, it's the most common. I generally like to go Instagram, but I'll say fly. Yep.
Yeah, done. Like it. Favourite food or favourite last meal. Can be many as courses as you want. Knee-jerk reaction, appetizer, dinner, dessert, drink. Go.
Oh,
it's a hard one.
I'm a slut for a pizza or a burger. Like a good pizza or a burger, I think, is my last meal. But you know what's my best? Like over pizza and a burger?
Go on.
Fried chicken, man.
Oh yeah.
I love me some fried chicken.
Some southern fried chicken. Yeah,
mate, southern fried chicken, when done well in a thigh fillet. Oh my God.
Have you tried Easy Street chicken, fried chicken and waffles?
Is it good?
Fuck, it's good.
Bro, I think that
Easy
would be.
Street.
I think a fried chicken and waffles would be my go-to.
It's like, I mean, because I've got a massive sweet tooth.
Yeah.
But I also like savoury. And then combining the two, and that blend is like, man. And they do like, it's got maple butter with it as well.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm a slut for maple too, man.
Check it out. Yep. It's the go,
all
honestly.
Right.
Easy Street.
Last meal, I'm going definitely, bro, don't even give me entree or dessert. Just give me everything in one, which is fried chicken, maple and waffles.
Done. Easy. Third one. You're having dinner, you're having your maple chicken waffles, right? Yeah. You can invite 3 other people, dead or alive, top of your head, who's coming around the table.
Definitely David Goggins.
The Goggins!
Goggins.
Yeah.
David Goggins.
David Goggins.
I think Jocko Willink.
Oh, Jocko.
Jocko, man.
Jocko. Yeah.
Goddamn, eat those waffles.
Yeah. I get up every day, fucking 4 a.m. and you know, life's good. He's a legend.
Yeah, he's good. I think Jocko Willink, David Goggins, and throw a bit of business in there. I would have to say Tony Robbins.
Those guys are fucking business. Yeah, I know what you mean. More like
they're
strategic.
like work ethic.
That's true. They
man.
are.
That's
man.
where
those guys know how to work hard.
I mean, as an idol, if I could throw a fourth in, I'd say Arnold Schwarzenegger. It'd be a toss-up in between Arnie and David Goggins.
The thing is, though, these questions now continue to marinate, and then you go, oh, what about? That's why I would say top of your head, because like you'll fucking think about it. I change mine all the time.
Yeah, my definite 100% would be David Goggins.
Yeah.
David Goggins, Jocko Willink, and
cool.
Probably the Tony Robbins or Arnie.
Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be entertaining and a good meal too. Last question, a bit more serious, is I ask all my guests this. Can you identify, and we've talked about this in the podcast to some degree, a fear that you've had in your life? Could be current, could be past, what it is and what you've learned from overcoming it, or if it is current, what you're learning from overcoming and facing this fear.
Roger that. I do actually know, and I have overcome it, and I overcome it this year.
Yes.
So my biggest fear was heights.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah,
now,
I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are.
Is it the heights or the falling, though, as people always say?
Well, mate, I will tell you what it is. So,
you did a fucking skydive, didn't you?
I did, but
nice.
There's a bit more behind that, because when I was 16, living in Victoria from when I was a baby until I was 16, I lived in Victoria, and I used to live next to a drop zone. So obviously where skydivers take off and parachute. So I was watching parachutes all the time, right? And around the age of, I would say probably in between the ages of 10 and 13, I actually witnessed 2 deaths of skydiving with my own eyes at that young age. So that is the kind of age where you're taking all your information in, and where experiences and things happen in your life where you carry on for the rest of your life.
So you saw 2 people
on 2 separate occasions. So I'll tell
How close were you?
They were up in the sky and I was down below. So I'll tell you that there was 2 separate occasions. One, pretty much everyone jumped out of the plane, and one of the last people jumped out, got his chute deployed early and hooked on the back of the wing of the plane, on the tail of the plane.
Yeah.
The plane spiraled down. Unfortunately, he crashed and burned and died. The pilot jumped out with less than 1,000 meters and broke both of his legs. And everyone else got out of the plane because they'd jumped before this guy. So that was one that I literally witnessed the plane spiraling down like you would see in a Hollywood movie. And I didn't see it burst into flames, but I heard it. It was that close.
Yeah.
So that was one time. And then another time was I was actually driving out the back roads because we lived in country Victoria, and a guy, both of his chutes didn't deploy and he was hung over a branch. So just picture someone falling, coming over a tree branch in the forest. So it was right on the side of a back road. So it was a dirt road. We were just driving out there for an unrelated reason, just going for a scoot as we did back in the day. And there was a guy hung over a branch across his waist, and his skin, I can remember it, was paper thin. And he looked to be stretched 6 foot out on either side. So I had the biggest fear of skydiving my entire life. Huge. Witnessed 2 deaths on 2 separate occasions. All right? Everyone says how safe skydiving is, blah, blah, blah. And yes, it is more safe than like driving a car or whatever.
There's some cunt going for a skydrive tomorrow, God, fuck that.
Yeah. But anyway,
no, you do.
For many years, I said, nah, that's one thing I will not do. I will never skydive. There's no reason for me to do it. Why would I ever want to go and jump out of a plane when I've seen this, you know? My feet are perfectly good on the ground. I used to be one of those sort of people. And then I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not letting fear get in the way. This is going to open up a whole new chapter for me, and I'm going to overcome this. And I'm not just going to overcome my fear. This is going to open new doors to everything else in my life, which is exactly what it did. So last year, I booked a skydive in Airlie Beach, and shitting myself, I went on an 8-week journey for myself, and I basically did things in the lead up to this skydive. So I was putting myself outside my comfort zone to build up for the ultimate fear jump. And I would do things like go to a restaurant and eat a meal by myself, go and watch a movie by myself, go and talk to 5 strangers a week, things like that, where I was just like doing things. I was reading 1 book a week. I was doing different things to be able to build up to this skydive. And fuck, I remember like listening to David Goggins on the morning of the skydive. I was living in Townsville at the time, and drove down to Airlie Beach, ready for this skydive, up at 5 a.m, needed to be like 20 minutes out the road, and drove out there, and I was like, if anything comes between me and the skydive, like the weather chops up bad or whatever, I'm going to use this as a sign for me not to jump. Yeah. You wouldn't believe it. I get out there, the fucking wind. I've weighed myself. I've paid the extra money because I'm like over 100 kilos, etc., etc. And we're waiting for the plane. The plane's there. Everyone's ready to jump, and they're like, guys, unfortunately, the jump's been called off today because it's too windy. It's too risky up there. We can't do it.
And he went,
and then I accept
anyway.
Well, no.
I'm joking. I was like,
no, let's go.
No. Too late now, cunts. And that's where the clown mask came from.
And then I made the decision. I was like, all right, that's the universe telling me not to do it. All right, I've booked it in and I've done it. And then I made this little excuse up in my head, and I kind of like settled that on for a few months. Yeah, no, it's all right. We're still going. It's just, then I
was... We're 10% battery. Come on.
100%.
Now we're still good. We're getting there. We're almost there.
And then I was like, fuck this. I'm doing the jump.
Yeah, you got it.
And then I had a client at the time, Ryan Fotheringham, and we were talking, and I was like, bro, I just need to book this thing and do it. And he's like, bro, you just spontaneously do it and I'll come with you. And I was like, all right. And I didn't even know I was going to go.
What a legend.
And I went for a walk around the Brisbane city on Saturday morning and didn't even know, with a different mate. And then on Sunday morning, I just woke up and I was just like, something inside of me. This was like 4 months after the fact that I did a failed jump to start with. And I was like, it was a beautiful day. And I was like, you know what? If there's a fucking spot available at 1:30 this afternoon, I'm just going to book it and do it. Yeah. And I just looked on the website, and sure enough, there was like 8 spots available. I was in my head, I was kind of like, fuck. Yeah. So I'm going to be booked out. Yeah. And then I just called up my mate Ryan, and I was like, bro, we're jumping. And he's like, all right, let's go.
What a legend. And, he actually was a man of his word too.
Yeah. And then since then, I did the jump and then overcome the fear of that. And since then, I've been paragliding. I only just did that.
How good is it, by the way?
Paragliding?
The jump first.
Amazing.
I want to do it. I've not done it yet.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things, like everyone says, you have to do it to feel it. Yeah. And it is. It's like once you jump, the fear goes.
Because I imagine the fear of falling, because the thing that's always appealed to me about the skydiving rather than the bungee jumping, and I have done something similar to bungee jumping, bridge swinging, New Zealand, we'll talk about it later, but it's like an amalgamation. The fear of, like, because you get a feeling of falling, but that goes with skydiving apparently. So because you're falling for so long, it's like, there's no perception, right?
Yeah,
so I don't know, it's like kind of like the closest thing to flying, I guess.
100%. Yep. So
were you like, let's do that again?
I wasn't. I felt very nauseous when I got down. I got a bit of a weak gut. I think before I went paragliding, I took a couple of travel calms. So I recommend anyone's going skydiving, if you get like motion sickness, definitely pop a couple of travel calm, because yeah, I felt fucking nauseous for an hour after it.
Oh,
I didn't feel like I wanted to go up straight away. I was just like, I was kind of like, when I got down, I was like, whew, thank God we didn't get hooked on the wing.
Branches around here.
I was like, as we were going up in the plane, I told the guy that I was strapped to. He's like, oh, so have you ever been to Scotland? I was like, nah, funny story though.
Fucking
We're having this conversation.
What did he say?
What did he say? He's like, well, fuck, man. He was like different. I can't remember what nationality. He's like, nah, well, fucking hopefully it won't happen this time. And he's like, have a good jump, man. I was like, see at the bottom.
Was he with you though?
Yeah, he was with me.
Yeah.
So then, jumped, and then it opened up huge things in my life, man. So that's a bit of a long-winded story, but it's a cool thing for anyone out there that's scared of heights, overcoming the fear. It's just like anything, stepping outside the comfort zone. It opened up many more avenues and gave me a different perspective on different things with business and training and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And it's a big part of it. And that's why we always talk about like fear. And I ask this question, it's the thing that holds us back. I mean, we hold ourselves back, and ultimately, I said it before, the obstacles, the way the fear is, like time feeds fear. The more you can attack it and go for it, you realize that sometimes it's not what you thought, but also on the opposite side of fear is everything you desire.
100%.
And most people who overcome their fears, whether it's a small fear or a big fear, or you continue to overcome multiple fears, you sort of go, why didn't I do this sooner? Usually, because like you said, there's only better things on the horizon of it.
Yeah.
Matt, I appreciate your time, brother. It's been real. Brother. For people who want to know more, plug yourself, mate. Where can they find you? Where can they go?
Yeah, check me out on Instagram, Road to Aesthetics, or on Facebook. I actually have just released my ebook, 16 Crucial Things You Need to Know to Gain Muscle Without the Fat. And let me tell you guys, number 4 will blow your mind.
Literally.
Yeah. So you can download my free ebook, and that's just in my Instagram bio. Grab yourself a copy and have a read and let me know what you think. I've got some very valuable information in that ebook.
Guys, make sure you head across. I'll even make it one step easier, and I'll put the direct link. I'm sure we can do that.
Yep.
I'll put it in the show notes, guys. So wherever you're watching, if it's on YouTube or you're listening, on iTunes, any platform, it'll be there. So just, guys, it's not hard to scroll down, pop it in there. And as ever, if you liked it, share it with someone. Make sure to subscribe if you're on YouTube, I've got to say it. And of course, if you want to hear more, if you've got any questions, just reach out, guys. Leave a rating and a review. And as ever, until the meantime, stay fearless. See you on the next one. Get some. Yeah. That's it. For those of you who are confused, frustrated, and sick and tired of not seeing the results that you want or deserve, make sure that you click the Apply for Coaching button in the description below and line up a completely free consultation with myself where we can discover if it's a good fit as client and coach and take your health and physique to the next level once and for all.